How you doing, Mary?
Hi.
Hi. Are you sick?
No, why?
I see you with face mask.
Oh, that's just her saved photo on
Oh,
Zoom.
okay. See who is here. Okay.
Hey, Michael. Terry and I just hopped on. Terry should be here in a moment. We followed the team's calendar invite.
You click on the team instead of the Zoom.
Yeah, so Terry should be in here momentarily too.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, she's here. Hey, welcome, Terry.
Hi, is everybody else?
Yes, we have you, we have Andrew, we have Jen, and we have Ricky.
Okay, and I wonder if, do we think that Joel will be on or no?
No, I saw him yesterday. He came to the city yesterday and told me he will not be here.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started then. Go ahead and start the recording, please. Oh, is it recording already?
It's recorded already.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, Tucson, Pima County Historical Commission Plans Review Subcommittee meeting, call to order at 1:04 p.m. And in lieu of roll call, I'll do roll call. Terry is here. Jan?
Here.
Joel? No?
No,
Ricky?
Here.
And Andrew?
Here.
Great, thank you. We have a quorum. Item 2 is review and approval of the October 24th, 2024 legal action report and minutes. Could I have a motion to approve as submitted, please?
Jan, I'll move to approve the legal action report for October 24th as submitted, 2024.
And who will second?
This is Andrew. I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call roll. Terry votes aye. Jan?
Aye.
Ricky?
Aye.
And Andrew?
Aye.
And again, Commissioner Ireland is not present, so it passes 4-0. Thank you. Item 3 is Historic Preservation Zone Review Cases. We review these under UDC Section 5.8/TSM 9-02.0.0 Historic District Design Guidelines and the revised Secretary of the Interior's Standards and Guidelines. Case 3A is SD 0924-00096 at 582 South Main Avenue. And this is to replace windows, restucco, install gutters, repair porch, and assorted paintwork. It's a full review in the Barrio Historico Historic Preservation Zone. It's a contributing resource and will be using the rehabilitation standards. Michael, do you have background, please?
yes, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Barrio Historic Zone Advisory Board on October the 14th. They voted 5-0 to recommend approval as presented with conditions. I sent the copy of the legal action report out to members of the subcommittee, but I will read out the conditions for the record. That the integral color plaster be used, considering its effect on Adobe, that the drill with synthetic stucco is not recommended, that a new concrete be used or red bricks to replace the crack and disintegrating existing front porch. Concrete pavers as presented is not recommended, and that all windows and doors to be wood, and that using the French drains, swirls to redirect and manage water flow away from the house to the landscape areas rather than gutters. These were the discussion that Barrio had, and you all have a copy of that legal action report. If there's any specific question for staff, I will answer it at this point. If not, I'll turn it over to the applicant who is here.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions? Or can we go ahead with the presentation?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Ricky, are you good? Okay, let's go ahead then. And who is presenting?
This is Mary Ben Hayes. I have never done this before, so I may. Do I just do a share and open up the presentation?
Yes,
That's, yes. And Michael will make you a co-host. Have you done that?
yes, I have done that. You're the co-host now.
Okay, and Mary, can you tell us, are you the owner? Are you, or what is?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I am the owner of the property at 582 South Main. I understand it's a contributing property. And I'll just quickly go through the application, which I believe everybody has a copy of.
Go ahead and share your screen now and see what you have.
Okay, can you see it? Because I
No.
have shared my
Not yet.
screen.
Did you click the green share button?
Yes.
Interesting.
You might have to close it and reshare it because we're not seeing any screen being shared.
Okay. Do I have to call back in? Because I
No.
don't see anything. I just see a Zoom on my
So-
screen now.
There should be something at the top of the screen that says stop sharing. If it's showing that you're sharing on your side, but if you're not,
Oh, well, I
at
must
the
have
bottom
done
of the screen it says share, and then it should let you click exactly what screen you want to share.
No, I don't have any of that. I'm very sorry.
Okay,
Michael, can you go ahead and share it? And
That's
then
what-
Mary can,
that's what I'm trying to do now, Madam Chair.
okay. We have some people on another link that inadvertently got created on Teams or something. So Maria is telling people to join this other way, and I don't know who this other person is, so but we're started so they can just join when they join.
You see my screen?
I do not,
No, I'm asking the commissioner.
No, I don't see it either.
Oh. All right.
Michael, can you get Christina to help you, or is she there?
She's not here with me now, right now. I do have Maria here.
Maria,
Are you in the conference room?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm on my way over there.
Carrie, I can also share mine. I have it up on my screen. I have 2 screens today.
Why don't you go ahead and share it, and then we can see what's going on.
Michael, can you make me co-host so I can share?
Sure. Let me see. Made you the co-host, Ricky.
Do you see it?
Now, yeah,
If you just want to let me know what page to scroll to, I can move it as you
Yeah.
need, okay?
Yeah, you can scroll to page 2. And there is the project description, which just really is saying the same thing that Michael said a few moments ago. The application is to repair and repaint the contributing property at 582 South Main. We're going to take care to have minimal impact to the building's facade, maintain the current window and door openings, and match the current stucco texture. Scope of work is replacing the 3 vintage double hung windows with all wood double hung windows and 1 small plate glass window with all wood frame plate glass. The little window is about 8 inches by 18 inches. We need to restucco the entire house and the front wall with a tinted synthetic stucco, repainting the home, installing gutters to move the water away from the home, and to remove and replace the cracked front porch slab. The design narrative would be the next item, the UDL 5.8.9. The development zone is Barria Libre. There will be no impact to the height, the setbacks, the site utilization, or the building form. The rhythm, as I said before, the window openings will remain their existing size. And the trim around the window openings will remain. The security doors and window bars will be removed for painting, but then reinstalled. And all windows will be energy efficient, double hung wood, all wood windows. The colors will be similar to the existing colors. And the only landscaping change will be to replace the cracked front porch slab. On the next, the enclosures, the only enclosure impact will be restuccoing the front wall to match the house. Then on the next page, there will be no change to the underground utilities. There will be no change to parking. All parking will continue to be on the street, and there are no signs. If we move on to the next page, that is the aerial photograph. You'll see 582 South Main with a red dot near the middle of the photo. 17th Street is in the south, and South Main Avenue is on the east. The proposed site plan on the next page shows that there is, that the home takes up about 50% of the 2,200 square foot lot. It has a couple of porches, patios, and like that, but nothing is changing in the size of all that. It's mostly just cosmetic looking things. The next page is details. It shows photos of the various windows that are going to be replaced. And the next page is of the bad stucco examples. There's more than just this, but this is what I'm worried about. We will be, once that stucco is done, we'll be repainting the fascia and the eaves and basically all of the trim on the house.
With that same color?
A similar color. I hope to replace the green with a heritage blue and the metal all black.
Okay.
And then the what do you call it? The entry side of the exterior side of the entry doors to be painted more of a magenta color. Those doors are pretty well hidden behind those security doors, though.
What color are those doors now? Are they red?
Mm-hmm, yeah. It's, yeah, it's, I guess it'd be a red. So this on the, whatever page I'm on now, 11, the ceiling of the porch, where it's green, it would be that heritage blue.
Okay.
And then the gutters I'm considering are these ones that you can that are on the house next door at 584 South Main. But I'm not married to that design. I do think we need to use gutters to get the water away from the house, though. The next page shows the broken concrete porch. And it's in pretty bad shape. I've put a rug over these cracks to keep people from tripping over the offsets in the cracks. And my hope is to be able to replace it with something that looks like bricks. But there were a couple of other options I was considering that would cover the cracks, like tile or an overlay. But I believe both of those will last only just so long, and then they will crack. The page 15 starts the pictures of the surrounding area. You can look at a view of south of 582 South Main. The pink house is 582 South Main, and the houses on down are the other two that are basically the same design. 580 is north. And then if you look across the street, there's a little bit of a different design. There's a couple of flat roof houses over there. And then to the rear, you look at 420 West 17th Street and the apartments at the rear of 580 South Main. There's several examples of other properties in the neighborhood. Across the street, 541 South Main, 575, 585, 589, and then on the same side of the street, 580, 570, 584, and 586. The next page, page 17, is the front of 582 South Main and the rear. The north side is hard for me to photograph because the fence is so close to the house. There's probably less than 2 feet between the house and the fence. On the south side, there's more room. There's about 8 feet between the houses there, so I could get a fairly good picture of the side of the house. Then the next page is the Barrio Viejo development zone. The green highlighted property is 582. And that open area in the back is Carrillo School Grounds. That's followed by the Arizona State Historic Property Inventory Form. And then I provided a list of the proposed building materials, but I omitted the Weather Shield Double Hung Premium Series all wood window link, which you will find on page 7, if you want to take a look at that. Any questions?
Yeah, well, let's go through, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and ask commissioners one by one to see if they have questions. Who would like to start?
I have a question about the stucco. So I know you're repairing the stucco, like you're just putting stucco on top. Are you doing any repairs to the adobe brick that's underneath and patching that, or are you just covering it up with stucco?
We are gonna repair the cracks and then put a mesh over it and then put a stucco layer over that. The synthetic stucco layer over that, which they tell me they can pretty closely match the type of stucco that's on it today, the look of the stucco that's on it today.
Do you know what
And
type
how
of
would
stucco's
you,
on
how
it?
would you characterize that look?
Sandy.
Okay,
It's pretty smooth, but sandy.
And
Okay.
then for the gutters, are you gonna have any sort of like French drain or anything like that to get it away from the house? Because I'm just worried if you install a gutter at a corner like this, it's just gonna dump it onto the ground. It'll still get into the house. It's just gonna absorb it through the foundational stones instead of from the roof.
Mm-hmm. Well, I plan to participate in the water harvesting activities so that the water would be moved into basins around the property and then drained down. There's incredibly good drainage on the properties on this street. You know, you can have a 3-inch flood in your yard and it's gone in 10 minutes. And it doesn't go out of the property, but it just drains down. But I have no idea where it's going. It's just sand, I think, is why it does that. So that's my intent. And I probably won't put the gutters in until I get the approvals for the landscaping changes to catch that water and keep it on the property.
So I don't know, Michael, does she have to come back for that for the for the water harvesting equipment being installed in the front?
If she's doing it outside this review, it will be a minor review for the gutters and water catching equipment.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and I think
then-
at that time, we could look at how far the drainage is daylighting out, you know?
Yeah, and then for the porch, and never mind, I'm gonna let somebody else go.
You okay? Okay, does someone else want to pick up and then we can go back to Ricky? Andrew?
Yeah, sure, I can go. On the stucco, I did see on the historic zone conditions, they had let me see. They had asked for a integral color plaster instead of a or a non-synthetic traditional stucco instead of a synthetic stucco. Are you aware of why they're asking for that, and are you amenable to doing that?
The conversation that we had, what I came away with was that they think it looks nicer and it holds the color better. And they did say that I don't have to do it, but they would prefer that.
Okay, interesting.
It sounds like it's listed as the condition in the motion, correct?
Yeah.
Well, we can do whatever and then the planning director can decide, but I'm just concerned about that synthetic stucco over the adobe.
Yeah, that's my concern too, is that the synthetic stucco doesn't breathe
Mhm.
in terms of absorbing and releasing moisture like a traditional stucco will. And the concern there is that the adobe may expand and contract at a much different rate than that stucco, and that moisture may be trapped behind the synthetic stucco. Going all the way down to the ground. We're not allowed to do this kind of stuccoing anymore because of the rising damp issue. But I do worry that the synthetic stucco might kind of exacerbate your rising damp issues. So I would encourage you to go with the traditional or a plastered stucco finish as well. The other thing I wanted to look at was the front porch pavers. I do agree with the Historic Zone Advisory Board on, I don't think that these pavers are probably appropriate for the house, but I think,
Yeah, and that is what they recommended also, was a tumbled brick, clay
mhm,
brick, because it has
yeah,
more of the historic look to it.
mhm,
And I have gotten confirmation from my landscaper that he can get those and that will not be a problem, other than, several more $100 than what we
okay,
had discussed earlier. But, I want something that will last. So
yeah,
I'm okay with that.
okay. I think another option, if it's more affordable to you, that would also be appropriate would be just to replace it with new concrete, with the tight control joints that are 3 to 4 feet on center. That's that's appropriate to the era of house as well. So
Okay.
yeah, I think we can give you both in our motion. And then
Yeah, yeah.
the other thing on, oh, I'll just comment on the gutters. I know you'll bring those back for minor review with the water harvesting, but the K-style gutters are actually okay on a 1940s home. They're not out of, they're appropriate to the era of the home. So I think they're fine. And I think the more you can do to manage the water on an adobe structure, the better, especially with the tight lot lines that you have. You got to do everything you can. So I think those are totally acceptable to me. And
Okay,
I
great.
I think that's all that I had. If Ricky, if you wanted to, there was other things you had.
Yeah, Ricky?
My comment just about the front porch. So I agree with what Andrew said, because I was just concerned about the other two options that are on here, laying concrete on top of concrete that's already cracking. Like, that's just asking for problems in the next couple of years. So like
Yeah.
I don't like those other two options that are presented. Um, and then I don't know. I'm concerned for the Adobe in this. That's my main thing, but that's like with the stucco is that it used to be a thing to put chicken wire under like on the Adobe and then stucco on top of that, and that had that was a lasting issue where the chicken wire would eventually start to separate from the stucco, which just makes me a little concerned about that application versus like a more natural stucco, like a lime plaster or something like that is going to adhere better to the building in the long term anyways, without having to use that extra like chicken wire or whatever type of metal mesh they're going to put under there.
Yeah, I talked to my contractor about that too, after, the historic board discussion. And, his concern had something to do with what's already there, the paint that's already there. Does that need to be removed for the lime plaster to attach? And then
Was he
how would
intending
you
to
remove
just
it?
was he intending to just stucco over the stucco that's already there?
Yeah,
Oh,
That's not recommended. I mean, typically when you're applying a new stucco, you need to remove the other stucco and then put the new one on top, which is why it's so expensive to restucco Adobe buildings, because you have to make sure you're not damaging the Adobe underneath. But
mhm.
I mean, the benefit of that is you don't get a stucco on top of your building that's trapping in the water.
Yeah.
Who is your contractor for this? Have they done
Uh,
like a Adobe stucco work like this before?
I don't know if he has experience doing Adobe stuccoing. The contractor is my general contractor, Tuhave. I haven't actually talked to the subcontractor that he's been working with.
So, members of the subcommittee, during the barrio meeting, it was recommended that the property owner should consult with an Adobe specialist. And actually, she was provided some information about somebody who could actually help her look at the Adobe. They too were also concerned about the Adobe, just as you are concerned today. So there was a request for an Adobe specialist to actually look at what needs to be done.
Jerry, I don't have any more questions if Jan wants to go.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead, Jan.
Yeah, I think Andrew and Ricky and the neighborhood board pretty much covered my concerns. I agree. I would not support the synthetic stucco, and I guess I'd like to see our recommendation include explicitly the consultation with a stucco specialist or Adobe specialist to just make sure there's an appropriate treatment of the Adobe. And I'm comfortable with either of the recommendations the Barrio board made, which is replacement concrete or bricks on the front porch. And yeah, looking as a minor review at the options for getting gutter runoff away from the building.
Yeah, I figured. Okay.
And
And
the water harvesting.
Water
Okay.
harvesting or whatever method is employed, but
Yeah.
that be reviewed.
yeah. And I already attended their class about 2 weeks ago. And my only concern was they say you need to be 10 feet away from the property or from the house for anything that you build. So the only option I thought sounded like it would work would be gutters. Because if you tried to put a French drain in, there's not enough room between the properties to do something like that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
like from the way you described it, you've got such narrow side yards that you'd be looking at somehow maybe running it through a swale to a place in the back where you might have more room or.
Yeah, but the swale also collects the water,
Right.
that comes off the roof.
Yeah,
And at this point, my new neighbor is always checking with me to see if it's okay if, some water runs onto my property, which I have to, there's some water that from her house that I have to get rid of as well.
yeah.
boy. Okay. Well,
The only other thing I just wanted to say, Ricky, can you scroll to the page where the windows and doors are called out? I just want to make sure that those were included somewhere in the plans.
There, it's page 7.
here we go.
Yeah, there's a link in there.
Is this what you were looking for, Jan?
Yeah, I thought there was information. So these are all wood windows. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, I think we really need to put together a motion. Are we pretty clear on what should go in that? And is someone willing to make it?
Yeah, I'm drafting it right now so I can make it in a
Okay, great.
little.
Oh, and if you could provide any kind of list of Adobe specialists, that would be so helpful to me.
I have one. His name's Eric Means. He's actually working on the Sosacario house for our Adobe project. He's like one of the three like main people in Tucson that does it.
Mhm.
And
Name is Eric.
Eric, ERIC Means,
I'm sorry, I
MEA.
still didn't catch his last name.
I can send it in the chat.
Oh, great.
And his
Yeah.
company's Means Design and Construction. I've worked with them for over 20 years.
He's very good, and he'll give you options and explain to you exactly why things are done the way that they're done. So he's good to give a good understanding of the methods.
There must be a way for me to get this.
Okay, so I think I've got it. Our conditions were only on the stucco and the front porch, right?
And that the gutters and any water harvesting, water management strategies would come back for a minor review, correct?
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I think though, as I understand it, the water company has to approve it and then it,
Yeah. But anyway, ma'am, we have to, we're actually discussing a motion, so we have to let us finish that.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, I think I've got it ready if we're ready.
Okay,
All
Go
right,
ahead.
on the matter of SD 0924000096, 582 North Main Avenue, I recommend approval of the project as submitted with the following conditions. 1, a traditional stucco or plaster finish is more appropriate than a synthetic stucco material, and an Adobe specialist should be consulted for the proper treatment of the Adobe walls. 2, the front porch paving material shall be concrete with tight control joints to approximate the existing slab, or a tumbled red brick appropriate to the development zone. And 3, any gutters and water harvesting or management strategies shall come back for a minor review.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second. This is Ricky.
Okay, thank you. Is there further discussion? Okay, if not, I will call roll. Terry votes aye. Andrew,
Aye.
Ricky,
Aye.
Jan.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes 4-0. Now, Mary, do you understand the next steps? What happens? Or do we need to go over that with you?
Yes, please go over that with me.
Okay, and Michael, I'll just start and you finish, but, so what happens is that the Historic Preservation Advisory Board's recommendation and our recommendation goes in, they're two independent recommendations, even though we listen, obviously consider what they say. This goes to the planning director who makes the decision. And then, you will receive a letter and, Michael, explain the next part.
Yeah, you're going to receive an approval notice from the Director of Planning and Development Services. That letter will come with an approval, but it will also list conditions for you to follow. Those conditions may include all the conditions from the barrio, all the conditions from Plans Review Subcommittee, or the director may only list some of them and has the ability to also add additional conditions from what you have heard from the two boards. So you will then resubmit your plans, making sure that you have met all those conditions of approval. Staff will look at your plans. If you have met all the conditions, then we're going to stamp it and you will be ready to start the permitting process.
And then we've got the minor review in there for when you get ready to do the harvesting, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but once she gets all these other things done, then she can schedule the minor review and she's ready to do the water harvesting and the guttering, correct?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair.
Right, and then did you mention the 30-day appeal period? I didn't hear that.
No, there is, since this is a full review process, once the decision is sent out, there's a 14-day appeal period.
Okay.
Within which any of your neighbors can appeal the decision of the director. If there is an appeal that is filed, that is properly filed, then you cannot pull any permit. You have to wait until the person who has filed the appeal undergoes the appeal process. Then after that, the appeal for the director's decision go to mayor and council. If there is no appeal within that 14 days, then you can proceed with your permitting process. If there is an appeal, staff will contact you and let you know that there has been an appeal that has been filed for your project.
And that will be included in the letter?
That will be included in the letter, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay,
And
well, thanks. Yeah.
If you have any question within the time, feel free to either call me or call Maria. Would be more than
Okay.
happy.
Great, and thank you for that presentation, and good luck with your project.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for your time on keeping our area historic.
Well, sure, and thank you for the care you're taking. So, okay, we'll move on then to case 3B, which is SD 0624-00061 / TD DEV 0324-00107 at 812 East Speedway Boulevard. This is capstone mixed use student and workforce housing. It's a full review in the West University Historic Preservation Zone. It's a are we going to be talking about the contributing resources and the new construction? Yes, I assume. Michael, do you have a staff report on this?
Yes, Madam Chair. This review today, the applicants had gone to West University around July for a courtesy review. And then they also came to plans review for a courtesy review on July 25th. And then subsequently on October 15th, they went to West University with a full review process. And the plans you are reviewing today are the same plans that were reviewed by West University Historic Zone Advisory Board. West University review, they really were favorable to the comments from the applicants because they believe that the applicants had actually listened to their comments from the courtesy review and adjusted their plans to fit the comments from West University. And so West University recommended approval as presented with no conditions.
Okay, thank you. And who will be presenting today?
That would be myself and Matt from our design team.
Okay, go for it, Noel.
All right, thank you, Terry. Appreciate it. Commissioners, for the record, Noel Grimsman, I'm the Senior Urban Planner here at Snell and Wilmer. We're at 1 East Washington Street in downtown Phoenix. Let me bring up my quick little presentation here to just kind of refresh everybody from our last meeting. There we go. I won't bore everybody with the numbers. Just real quick, we have been working on this project since, well, let's see, going on 6 years now at the south east quadrant there of Euclid and Speedway. And as you may have been aware, if you've been watching things, this has been kind of a multi-part process. We had the demolition and relocation approvals for essentially moving 5 of the homes from the site and the demolition of one that was not movable. Those homes have been moved and are undergoing rehabilitation now. And if anybody had a chance to watch the news or go out there at 2 in the morning, it was a pretty interesting sight to see. The overall kind of concept for the plan, and I'm going to have Matt talk a little bit more about the design intent, but really We started out by looking at the West University plan and kind of the height and intensities that were kind of planned for this corner. And as you can tell in the plan, the idea was to really step things down and transition between the West University neighborhood and the main gate area. And the at the time when we first started this project, the zoning contemplated that the main gate overlay had some stair stepping in there, as well as some encouragement of historic preservation. But really, it was kind of left in a way where not enough real height was left on the site to would make a viable project, and kind of conflicted with some of the preservation goals. And so, working with the community, we worked through with the West University neighborhood as well as various boards, including your own, the amendment to the main gate overlay to facilitate the historic preservation of the homes that were on site that we did move, as well as the two that are retained. Those will be coming through on a separate application for you, because that's just the rehab of the exteriors. So we're going to do some paint and whatnot on those. Nothing dramatic, but we'll be bringing those through. So those two will stay on site, and we modified the overlay really to respond to the plan that we finally ended up with as we went through that public process. So I won't bore you with reading all of this, but essentially we did add not only were the requirements about relocating the houses, but also we enhanced some of the step back provisions, as well as included a requirement for a two-story townhome kind of element along our Euclid edge. And from an occupancy standpoint, we actually have those 30 bedrooms are actually those units are for workforce housing purposes. So we added a blend of use as well, again to respond to some comments that we received, and trying to again transition towards the neighborhood with the project, as well as some requirements regarding placing swimming pools in the behind the building mass and kind of down in the middle. And then addressing a few things in the redevelopment plan that we heard from the community that were what I'll call city items, which involve dedications of right-of-way and things to fix the Euclid alignment, as well as looking at some pedestrian improvements at First and Euclid, and dealing with some stormwater issues that have been an issue for folks in the neighborhood. So we've been working with the staff on all of those elements. And really where we've got to is the design now, and I'm going to have Matt kind of walk through all this. But as Michael mentioned, the various groups that have seen the new build plan so far, we've received positive feedback on, and I think there were a few comments from our courtesy review a couple of months ago. So as the plans refined a bit, I think we've addressed most of those, but look forward to discussing those further. But for right now, Matt, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you kind of walk through the design elements.
Okay. Good afternoon. Oops. Could somebody make
Can't
it
hear you
so I
too well,
can,
Matt.
Oh, sorry, Matt.
can somebody make it that I am able to share?
Oh, sure.
Thanks, Michael.
Great.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
The name again, please.
Oh, Matt Jansen.
For your name. I see Jason Jones.
Matt, as in Matthew Jansen, M-A-T-T.
Yeah, I'll get to it. Oh yeah, I saw it. Got
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
These-
it was
now these-
hidden somewhere.
Zoom is the
Maybe-
worst.
Oh, you
You're
should try
good to go.
Teams.
You're good to go now.
Oh, thank you. Here we go.
Hey, Matt, you're driving.
Okay. Can you all see my screen then?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So I wanted to back up real quick and just, I know we've been doing this, like Noel said, for quite a while. And when we first started this project back in 2019, you can see our first rendering that we sort of produced that we brought to the neighborhood. And this was really, hey, how many units can you fit on the site? And we were really responding to the zoning code and really sort of the development discussion more than anything else. The next rendering showed when we acquired the site to the south with the two historic houses. In 2023, we then started responding to comments that we heard. We continued that response and got to where we are today. And what I sort of mean by that is throughout this whole process, we've really been cognizant or really wanting to respond to the neighborhood and their concerns, as well as folks that we had met at the city commissioners and whatnot. We were moving the historic houses into the neighborhood, but also as part of that process and through these discussions, we learned that the neighborhood was really having some infrastructure problems. There were sidewalks that were not connected. There were ramps that were missing. So Capstone has committed to come in and help improve those areas as part of a commitment to the neighborhood. And that just makes the project better long-term. We also know that there's issues with the high-rise housing to the east of our site over here. And there's been a discussion about this bioswale on First Ave for upwards of 10 years, we understand. And part of our project is we're going to install that. So I guess what I'm saying here is we're not just doing a building, we're trying to be part of the neighborhood. And where that has all led us to today throughout those discussions is to this project that we're seeing here. But I wanted to back up again and sort of talk about that beginning part where we were just trying to plug numbers into a project. And then when we got through neighborhood discussions, we realized that we needed to step back and really ground this project in place. And so we did a deep dive into what is Tucson, the geology of Tucson, the activities of Tucson, what makes Tucson special, and bring that into the project. We also looked at the University of Arizona, which is, 4 or 5 blocks away from the site. And we want to be cognizant of the fact that we have many residents who are going to the University of Arizona living here. There's also the historic neighborhood to the west of us. As much as we are doing a 5/2 podium project that's 7 stories tall, we want to be understanding of what is the character and makeup of the neighborhood. And I've added a couple arrows in, and some things that we consistently came back to, for example, was the tufa stone bases that we saw scattered throughout the neighborhood. There's also, right, beyond the single family residences, there's also retail and commercial buildings that we looked at. One of the things that we gravitated towards quickly was the old historic adobe housing and the simplicity associated with it. And again, I've added arrows into areas that the tufa base here, the very simple line at the top of a stucco expanse. We also looked at larger scale projects. Unfortunately, neither of these, neither the Santa Rita Hotel nor the Pioneer Hotel are with us today. Pioneer being an absolute real national noticement to fire code. Unfortunately, the travesty that happened then. But we did look at these projects as sort of inspiration. The Santa Rita Hotel for the stepping that it did, the breaking down of mass, the simplicity and rhythmic language of the windows. Same with the Pioneer Hotel in a lot of ways. We also looked at neighborhood. I've always been enamored by the privacy fences and walls that you see within the neighborhood, and thinking about how we might be able to integrate ideas like that. The University of Arizona campus, it is a plethora of architectural styles, but it still feels like one integral campus that has an identity, and we wanted to be respectful of that. And lastly, the beauty of the Sonoran Desert that surrounds Tucson. We wanted to incorporate that in some way within the overall concept of the project. Looking at all those things and recognizing their implications around the site, whether it's the views outward or the connection to the campus or prevailing winds from the southwest. This all led to this diagram for the project, which broke the project down into 3 pieces. At the back of the project is the grounding element that becomes not a shield, but it becomes our grounding element that speaks to the University of Arizona color, the desert color, and you'll see the windows on that are playful in response to sort of this desert mentality. Whereas the front portion of the building is in white stucco. This has got a regular pattern of windows, and that's speaking to sort of the historic nature of the neighborhood across the street. And then the grounding of the building at the intersection of Euclid and Speedway and along Euclid with the workforce housing, that's becoming our tufa stone base for the overall project. If we look at the site plan now, the way that we've got our two historic buildings that Noel was talking about that we will come back later with, they're staying in place. In fact, my colleague is up right now measuring them and taking substantial photographs so that we can get a report together for you. As we go along Speedway, this is where our main entry into the residential lobby is. And then one of the other things I was point out is this drop off here off of the alley. So we've got all of our services coming into the alley as well as access to the internal parking garage. We've got this notch that we've put into the building, and this was direct response to conversations we had with the neighborhood about where's Uber going to come, where's drop off for kids' food going to go. And we didn't want to have that in an alley, so we carved in a space so that we could be accommodating for that and not create additional traffic within the area. As we start to walk through the building, I'll go through the floor plans real quick. We've got a below grade parking garage. At grade, along the face here, along Euclid, these are the workforce housing that Noel mentioned. There's 2 stories of those. The placement of those is direct response to a neighborhood conversation we had, in that they really saw that as a great opportunity to create a front door for the project facing the historic neighborhood. And we also wanted them to be located together. You know, if you come home from working or you're going to work, you don't want to be sleeping next to seniors at University of Arizona potentially on a Friday afternoon. So we thought that this would be a place for them to be able to live, but have full direct access to the rest of the building. So they come in through the main lobby. They have access to all the amenities within the building and whatnot. The other thing I point out here is, again, another conversation with the neighborhood. We used to have retail along Speedway, but they asked us not to do that because retail within the projects to the east of us along Speedway have been vacant for quite a while, and they thought to create an active edge, maybe put a lobby space in there with activities for residents to enjoy. I'm going to hand it over to Amy real quick to walk through the landscape that we have around the building. But just as a quick overview, it's really broken down into 3 areas here at the north end of the site at Speedway in the corner of Euclid, along the facade of the workforce housing along Euclid, and then at the 2 houses to the south. Amy, are you able to talk?
I am. Good
Okay.
afternoon, everyone. So in looking at the plant palette for this project and landscape, we took a couple of things or kept a couple of things in mind. One, the landscape in the along Speedway, existing landscape along Speedway, and then also just our native plant palette. We also needed to think about the main gate overlay district, and the ask there was to use all plant material from City of Tucson's low water use plant guide. So we've done that. Along Speedway here, we're using the red push pistache that complements the pistaches further east in front of the other student housing complexes, and then further along on University of Arizona's campus. The landscape in front here as well incorporates baby Katy Mexican putina, some twisted yucca, slipper plant, coral aloe, just to name a few. We've also incorporated permeable paving, permeable pavers to help contain some of the stormwater runoff. And then as we go towards the south along Euclid, Matt, I don't know if, there you go. Here we've layered plant materials with raised landscape planters. And then we have more permeable pavers, tree grates, so we can still fit in more of those red push pistache trees, really starting to bring are using the landscape to bring the building down to a pedestrian scale, as well as providing shade for people walking through the area. And then we end with a landscape strip between, sorry, on the previous slide, we have a landscape strip between the sidewalk and roadway with some lower planting. And then at the historical home area, we changed the landscape approach a little bit. Here it's much more of the native plant palette, what we don't have shown in this graphic. But we have a few Leslie Roy mesquites and desert willows to provide shade and trees within those rainwater harvesting basins that you see on the screen, along with additional native landscape, such as Texas Rangers. We have some Tacoma yellow bells and plant varieties like that.
One other thing that I would add here along Speedway is the introduction of the raised planter here and some benches that are integral to that, as well as the stairs that open to the corners, so that we have a real active ability for people to come up here, stop. I recognize Speedway is, quite a busy road, shall we say, but the opportunity for that to happen here. So going up through the building, now coming to the second floor, this is where we have our outdoor amenity courtyard with a pool in it for residents. There's also a fitness component. This was in response, again, through conversations with both the city and the neighborhood, that they did not want to have this on the roofs because there were some challenges with the existing high rises to the east on weekends with noise and whatnot. So we wanted to contain that noise within the donut of the building. And this is up at level 3 and 4. And then when we get up to 5, 6, 7, that donut drops away and it becomes a modified E building for all intents and purposes. And then when we get to the roof, we've got a sun deck up there, and all that is lounge space for students or residents to come up and enjoy some sun. When we look at the section here, we're looking at Euclid along the left. We can sort of see that landscaping that Amy was talking about, the 2-story workforce housing going to 4 stories and sort of stepping up in response to a conversation with the neighborhood. And then we can see the situation with the alley beyond. This is the section right behind the existing historic houses. We can see the close proximity to units there that are integral with the parking. This is through the minor courtyard. The elevations we can see here facing Euclid. Here's our tufa stone base in the darker material. Excuse me. And this is the north elevation. One thing I would point out about sort of this east elevation, we can see the windows within the white stucco that's responding to the historic neighborhood, a very regular, same size window, repeated pattern. It's predictable. When we come to the grounding element at the back of the project, the windows are shifting. It's a repeated pattern, 1, 2, it's A, B, B, A, B as we go vertically. And you also see that we've got these notches on the side of the window to create what we were trying to think about this as a stone element that we were carving into. The windows are carved, and these notches here where we're depressing in at an angle is sort of a residual effect of that carving effect. This is the elevation along the alley. We're not doing the carving because it is expensive, but doing a color pattern next to the windows to get a similar type of effect. And then the south elevation, and we can see the existing historic house's relationship to that. This one always loads a little bit slow because it's the material palette page. but we can see we've got our white stucco, which is a sand stucco, smooth material. The tufa stone material is a ceraclad, and we'll see a bigger image of that here in a second. But that is, it kind of looks like brick, but we wanted to give a contrast in material to the smooth stucco of the white with something that has texture to it to ground the project. That's also here. And then in the background, that our stone product, we've got a texture to that stucco. So it's a little bit, it's got more depth to it. Where the windows are getting carved, that gets a smooth texture stucco with a slightly different color. So we get a variation there. At the base of the building, we've got our raised planters in a blackened steel, as well as in front of the workforce housing, we've got raised planters with a split face darker CMU. So again, it has a texture along the pedestrian right away so that it's you've got some relief, you've got a playfulness to it that becomes evident as you're walking by. And this is a larger image of that ceraclad product that is our tufa stone. It's an applied, but it looks like stack bond brick basically. And then just running through the renderings here, we can see the corner of Speedway and Euclid with the stairs cascading down, and our raised planters with both split face concrete CMU, sorry, and the black and steel. We really wanted to open up this corner, kind of a glass box corner, so that people could see into the activity of the two-story lobby space. We can start to see those carving of the windows up above at the desert material, and the repetitive nature of the windows and the regular pattern at the historic. One thing of note as well is this topping of that. We've got a very nice thin profile to get a shadow line there along that historic, whereas the top of the stone is painted to match, that flashing is painted to match, so it really looks like one big monolithic element that we've carved. Coming around, here's the entrance into the alley. We can see the carved drop-off space that we've created, 2 stories that you can get. We're also thinking about loading day when people are moving in or out, that we have the ability to get people off of the alley, so we don't have 50 cars piled up here, but we have a zone for them to drop off. As we come here to the main entrance, we've got our main entrance identified here by this larger overhead canopy. And then we've got the shade canopy that runs the length of the facade here that wraps the corner at the glass box corner. And this material is the same as what you see. This is our tufa base. As we come down to Euclid, here's that raised landscaping bed that Amy was talking about to create a nice separation between sidewalk and people living at grade so that they have a sense of privacy living there. We've also got some of our bike parking here. We split our bike parking up, by the way, in this location, and then also here near the main entrance. Just a nighttime shot, and what we're trying to indicate here is that all the lighting is down low. It's facing down. We're not having any light that goes upward to prevent any sort of light sky. We just don't want to do that. The overall facade, standing and looking from across Euclid, and now coming down to the 2 historic houses and the minor courtyard space. And then last, here's the house that's on the property next door that's farther out because there's a bend in Euclid right here. We're actually pushing and redoing this whole sidewalk to create a longer lane transition to the intersection. And that's everything I have.
Okay, well, thank you, Matt. I think we're gonna just go through plans review members and see if they have questions. And who would like to start?
I can start, Terry.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yep. So on the white historic portion, on the windows, it looks like there's like a steel trim kind of pop out. Can you just describe what that is?
Yes, so the intention here is to get a shadow line around the windows. There's a 2-inch extrusion of metal. So the flashing comes out 2 inches past the face of the stucco. And this is an EFIS system. And so in this location, we have 1 inch of foam and then the 2 inches of metal surround. So the window is actually 3 inches set back in the so it's got 3 inches of depth to it. And we're doing that just at the white stucco that's facing the public right away.
Okay, great. And then on the bike parking, just out of curiosity, do you have any secure bike parking in the project, or is it all external?
No, there's bike parking per code within the building that's accessed directly off of the parking garage.
Gotcha. Okay. And then on, I guess it was on that last slide with the black cladding, is it the red stucco that's in between those elements on the workforce housing?
No, so that's the same material as if I can get past the material board without too much problem. So this is actually the same product. It's a Ceraclad board, but it's in a smooth finish. So we were just trying to get those windows to work together. So we were trying to mimic townhouses to get sort of that feel and flavor. So it had a 2-story expression along the sidewalk. We're just ganging the windows together.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it looks great. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Andrew. Who's next then?
I have a question about the 2 remaining houses on the property. So
Go
I know
ahead.
last time you guys were debating if they were going to change colors or not. Did you ever come to a conclusion on whether you're going to paint those houses or just leave them the way they are?
That's a terrific question, and I would love to hear from committee members and what their opinions are. I don't think we necessarily have one right now. I would personally go towards keeping the colors as they are, if they are historic in nature, and just try and match as best as possible. The houses are actually in pretty good condition from what we've seen. Like I said, we're here for the next 2 days to document those and get better an understanding of what we need to do with them.
Mhm. And Matt, will you be coming back to for review on your plans for those 2 little houses?
I would assume that that is the case, yes.
Is that
Yeah.
true, Michael and Maria?
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. So, alrighty. Ricky, did you have other questions?
I don't have any other questions, but it's exciting to me after so long to see the final project, and congrats on like getting to the final review on this. It's kind of the end of an era. But I'm thankful that you guys have taken all the feedback we've given you over the years and integrated into a project that I think is a reminder of a lot of the deep history of Tucson and also of like the beautiful mountains and landscape that we have here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jan?
Yeah, I just have a couple comments. As the person, I think, who was the only person who voted against this the first time it came to this, through this iteration of multiple reviews, it's just been gratifying to see all the change as we've gone along. And I just had 2 comments. One, I really appreciate the city having sent this to a historic design professional to review thoroughly and give us feedback, which is really helpful. And I think helps our review be more informed as well. So I appreciate that from the city. And I, among other things, some of the comments have been made, but I appreciate the response to comments we made last meeting, I think at the courtesy review in terms of the existing houses and how to treat the front of those and the landscaping. So I appreciate that evolution. And I don't have any other comments or questions.
And if you don't mind, Terry, Jen, just to let you know as well, the historic design professional stepped in and was really quick in his review. We really appreciate his efforts as well, because there's a lot to look at. So I just wanted to put that out there on the record.
Great, thank you. And again, I also want to say that I appreciate the iterative review and reintegration process of ideas. And it's really a very interesting buildings. It's hard. complex. Yeah, and it's, I was real interested in the change from the pool to the top to the inside. That's very interesting. Neighborhood, to deal with neighborhood feedback. So, okay, if there are no other questions or comments, let's go ahead with someone who's willing to make a motion.
Yeah. I can make a motion, but I do have one last second comment. Sorry. It's
Oh,
about
go
the
for
teal
it.
house. So that's not a historic color at all. I'm curious how Jan and Andrew would feel about this. I like the teal color, but it's not historic. It does make the building really stand out.
Well, I do have to bring it back for those for the additional reviews. So
So, yeah.
Yeah, the best thing to do is just check what colors people are using in West University, I would think.
We have a lot of like
And it's too bad
tans.
we don't have more color photographs of all those West University buildings that were torn down on that side of Euclid, years ago.
maybe Matt is just some homework while you're out kind of exploring. Let maybe see what kind of interesting their colors are. I mean, it sounds like there might be an opportunity here to do something fun, but
Wait,
period appropriate.
I don't want to speak for Ricky, but I'm thinking like for me, it's not the turquoise or whatever color it is per se, but the fact that it's actually attention's brought to that house, and it's actually really nice to be able to see it, whereas the other one's kind of fading away. And
Yeah,
think-
and I think if I'm not mistaken, one of these houses, not one of these two, I don't think, but one that was relocated was like a kind of punk, like commune thing, party space in the 70s, 80s. So keeping a little bit of weirdness on site, I think is cool, and speaks to that history. So I don't know. I think there's a documentary out there somewhere or a movie. Maybe you'll see it in the background and see if there's different colors in it or get some
Mhm.
inspiration from that.
Or there could be really a forensic look at the paint layers too,
Yeah.
which is
that-
sometimes surprising. So, okay, who's willing to make a motion here?
I can make a motion on
Is
the
that you,
matter.
Ricky? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I couldn't
this
hear
is
you.
Ricky. I'll talk a little louder. On the matter of SD-0624-0000061, Capstone Student and Workforce Housing at 812 East Speedway Boulevard. A motion to approve as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there further discussion? Okay, and we will see you guys again when you come back on the little houses, right? Well, they're not
Yeah.
really little houses, but they look little in comparison to the rest. So sorry if I call them little houses. Okay, if there are no other comments or questions, let's go ahead and take a vote. Terry votes aye. Andrew?
Aye.
Ricky?
Aye.
Jan?
I
Great, so it passes unanimously 4-0. Note that Commissioner Ireland was not in attendance and did not vote. So great. So, and I know you know the drill, team,
Definitely
and
are.
thank you. And it's great to see it at this point come together
Well,
like this.
Well, again, thank you for all your guidance and suggestions over the last couple of years. We've been working on this, and to your point, Terry, I think we ended up with a very interesting building, and I think it'll be a nice landmark here in town. So we're looking forward to getting it built.
Yeah, great, and good luck.
All right, thank you all for the time.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, item 4 is public and institutional use in a development zone discussion. 4A is discussion on the use of public and institutional buildings as comparative properties in development zones. We're gonna hold off on this until we have all of us in attendance. Hold on, do not hear. Okay. Then the same goes for item 5, task force on inclusivity report recommendations, discussion on best practices. This is 5A for naming of city and county owned physical assets. My goal is still to finish this up by the end of the year so that if that's possible, but I'm probably biting off more than I can chew. Item 6 is current issues for information discussion. Let's start out with 6A, minor reviews. Michael?
Yes, Madam Chair, we did 3 minor reviews within this week, I believe on Wednesday, and I was with Jan on those. And Jen can give a summary of what happened on those reviews. There was one 5669 East Photo. That one was for a solar panel.
I'm trying to remember the one at Fort Lowell. There was a lot of discussion about whether the one panel that was kind of two stacked panels was going to be visible above the parapet, but from the street, which was quite a ways off. But the installer went up on the roof and stood by the chimney that was visible, and it was determined that even those panels were not visible from the street. So that was approved as submitted, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the second one, which was still a solar panel in Amory Park, was at 105 East 17th Street.
Yeah, and that one was approved as submitted. There were panels on the Minor Avenue side that were not on the front of the building, but the Minor Avenue. At present, they're fully obscured by vegetation. We realize that may not be the case at some point, but it is the Minor Avenue and then off the back in the backyard. So those were approved as submitted.
So
Okay,
the big one was the 72 East Congress, the Indian Trading Post.
Yeah, that one, I honestly wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to review that as a minor review or whether I'd recommend it come back to us for full review. There were quite a few changes. Now I can't even quite remember them all, but they were basically in response to SHPO's suggestion that they weren't going to approve it as we had previously approved it. And all of the changes were an improvement to the original proposal. I don't have the plans in front of me now, so I'm having a hard time remembering, but there were some changes to improving the facade treatment in terms of the windows and the front entrance that were definitely an improvement over the original approval. I think it went from Bourne, which was kind of doing a more generic proposal without a tenant. Then it shifted over to Fenton, who had a tenant and had ideas. But then by the time it got to SHPO was clear that it wasn't going to fly the way it was coming through. So the new developers then made the changes, and I think overall it's an improvement. There was something. Oh, I know. They originally were SHPO had approved a couple different options, that is having a front canopy that wrapped around the corner or not. We'd originally approved it with that canopy, which is probably a more contemporary addition. And SHPO said they could do either. And then there was a window on
The east,
whatever
east facade
the cross.
Scott Avenue.
Pardon me, Fifth Avenue?
Scott Avenue.
Scott Avenue, that's right. On Scott, there had originally been a proposal to put a secondary passage door in case there were two tenants to replace a window. And the developer still wasn't sure, window door, same thing, canopy, no canopy. SHPO approved both. I just said that for the purposes of this current permit, they had to decide in both cases what they were going to do. And then if it changed, they'd have to come back for minor review.
good.
If that makes sense.
Yes, and this particular project went to design review board on Friday. We did a minor
Right,
review.
after I saw it, what happened there?
So they continued the case, not so much to do anything to do with historic. It was more about the shade structure, the shade structure that they couldn't meet. They're supposed to provide 50% of the shade, and they were not able to provide that. So they are going back to DRB design review board this Friday, a new concept, and I will update you what the design review board said on that day.
Yeah, and obviously that was the other thing I said, that depending on what happened with design review board, it could come back for minor or major review.
Great. Okay, well, thanks for those, for doing those and for your comments, that those are good. Michael, I assume you've got some more coming down the pike and you'll contact people?
Yes, I do have many of them that are lined up, and I will just send in an email to ask for a volunteer for those. I have 460 South Otero, which is in the barrio for solar. I have 717 North 7th Avenue in West University for Stockholm. I have 945 North 5th Avenue in West University for solar. I have 846 South 2nd Avenue in Avenue Park for solar. So I'll be sending out this list for volunteers. Probably we can do it this Friday, depending on your availability. I'll be more than willing to get that going. Or if anybody wants to volunteer now, I'll take it.
I'll be out of town the rest this week.
I can
Okay.
help.
Is that Ricky?
Michael, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ricky. We're good. We're good,
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Thanks, Ricky. 6B appeals.
None at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. 6C zoning violations.
Same old. We still, whenever they come to you, we bring them to you. There's a pending case that we scheduled last time was zoning violation. The applicant did not show up. I'll need to contact the applicant to see whether maybe we'll schedule it on the 14th when I discuss with you, Madam Chair. So because on the 14th, anyway, I'll talk about that when we come to future agenda items.
Okay, sounds good. Item 6D, review process issues. Are there any that people want to bring up? I just have a question for Andrew. Did you jot down your motion for 3A that you could share with me and Michael?
Yeah, I sent it to Michael.
Okay.
Do you want me
If
to
you wouldn't mind sending it to me as well.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yes, and then obviously 3B was a simple one.
Yeah.
Okay, and also, Michael, we'll need to get this out if we want it
Yes,
posted in time to approve at our meeting a week from Thursday, correct?
that's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, all right, any other process issues?
we
I
only
don't know if
having-
it's, oh, go ahead.
I was just wondering if we were only having one meeting in December.
So far,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's what we talked about when you were away, I think, at a previous meeting. Right,
And
Ricky?
that will be December 12th.
Okay.
Okay, so let's review that when we get down to future agenda items. So, okay, so Ricky, anyone else?
Andrew
Right.
had something.
Oh, yeah, I was just wondering if there's any update on the new historic preservation officer position for the vacancy.
Oh, it has been publicized, and I believe the city is receiving applications from potential applicants now. But if you know anybody who is interested in that position, please just tell them they can go on our website and they'll be able to find the job posting, job description, and things like that.
Okay, is there a deadline you guys are trying to make that decision by, or is it just until you get someone qualified?
There's a deadline. I don't know it off the top of my head now. There's usually a deadline. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I can provide that in our next meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Andrew, they will have candidates by mid-December. Cause I've been invited to the interview process or to the meet and greet. I'm unclear. But something's happening in mid-December.
It's on the 16th.
Yeah, right, that day. It's like a Tuesday.
I think
Monday,
it's like a
Tuesday?
Monday. It's a Monday.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's on my calendar, but they likely won't, maybe by the end of the year. I think that was our goal. But not sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
the goal was always to get somebody there by the end of this year.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's move on to item 7, summary of public comments. Were any received by the deadline, Michael?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. So let's talk about item 8, future agenda items. So
Richard,
on, Go
So
ahead.
on November 14, I believe we are going to have the Johnny Gibson restaurant here in downtown at 222 East Congress. And probably I will check with the chair on this. We're also going to just add one other project, just like I did on this. And I think Maria is here. Maria, do you want to give any more details on the Johnny Gibson?
Hello, Ms. Majeski, members of the PRS. Yeah, the Johnny Gibson's is planning to expand to the corner where the smoke shop used to be, at the corner of 6th Avenue and Congress Street. So they're coming in with some modifications to the facade of that corner. And also they're providing awnings on the existing Johnny Gibson's storefront.
Thank you. So Michael, we'll talk about what that agenda might look like. But I
Yes.
have a question. Do we have any idea when we might hear the Armory Park review, the changes?
Oh yeah, they are going to, Armory Park is meeting on the 19th of November. The Armory Park is going to go back because it was continued for the meeting of October. So I was just informed that they are ready to go back to Armory Park this November 19th. So by December, I believe it will also be one of the projects that will be ready for your review.
Yeah, but I
That
mean,
is-
we can't have like 10 projects in December, so we'll see.
No,
Michael,
But,
is Sosacario House not also supposed to be on the December agenda?
which one?
The Sosacario House?
I think we're still in the process of reviewing that, Ricky. I don't think it's ready for your review yet.
Yeah, members of the PRS, yes, we rejected the application. There was some information that was missing. So we have not accepted a design package yet for the Sosa Carrera.
Have an email to send. Thanks.
okay, and I had
There
another
are many
question.
projects that are actually ready for your review, but I'll need to talk with the chair to see that West University design guidelines are up and ready for PRS review. The Barrio design guidelines are also up and ready for your review. And then we have the Maragro Hog Light and the Miracle Mile that are also ready, and PRS may have to weigh in on those. So those are projects that are hanging out there.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions about future agenda items for folks? Okay, if not, we're adjourned.
Madam Chair, can we check the quorum for the 14th, please? Please,
Yes,
you're all here.
I will be there. How about everyone else?
I'll be here.
I'll be there.
Yes, I will be there.
Okay,
Okay, and we don't know about Joel, but will you try to contact Joel, Michael?
I will, Madam Chair.
Okay, and,
Oh, that's
Great.
the only other meeting we're having in November, right?
Yes,
yes,
Okay.
because
great.
this is an
After-
extra one, right? We moved this one.
yeah, this one was a special
Because-
meeting.
Yeah, because the fourth Saturday or Thursday is Thanksgiving, so.
Yeah.
That's why, 2 weeks from this Thursday, I think. Next Thursday, I'm so confused, sorry. Too much traveling. Okay, perfect, we will be in touch, and thanks everyone, and we're adjourned at 2:36, and Michael, I will watch for the recording and the notes and the draft of the
Yes.
LAR,
you should-
and thanks everyone for reviewing so quickly last time. And they're so clean, yay.
yeah. You should get the draft from me probably by Thursday, no later than Thursday.
Sounds good. And thanks everyone for careful review and finding nits and bigger things. So thanks. Okay, take care,
Thanks.
everyone. We'll talk soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
And we'll get Christina or Maria to send the recording to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Take care now, Michael and Maria
Thank you.
and everyone who's still on. Bye-bye. Bye.